I'm friends with 25 letters of the alphabet. I don't know why.
From the hallowed halls of Oxford to the legendary stage of the Comedy Cellar, this guest truly fascinates me. We're talking about Chris Turner, a comedian who doesn't just tell jokes, he freestyles them. And not just any freestyles, but intricate, mind-blowing raps that'll leave you speechless.
When I started doing freestyle rap on stage, so freestyle rap is improvised rap, it's made up. And that very quickly took me from being this 10-minute spot in the middle of the show to opening shows for 20 minutes and then headlining shows.
Get ready for a conversation you won't forget. All right, here with Chris Turner, and I'm excited. You know, I don't say that all the time, but I'm really excited to talk to. I really do not. You can check the other episodes. I do not say I'm really excited to talk to this person today. I'm really excited to talk to Chris Turner. First of all, in the pregame, we're looking at, he's got this sound booth out there. He's got a lot of guitars. My brother's got tons of guitars. I know that tells me a little bit about his personality. You know, he's got about 5 guitars. I think they're hanging there. I know all the vernacular, the Stratocaster, all that, the stuff. I know that vibe.
No Stratocasters here. Ew.
No, Stratocasters are great, like the 6.
Oh no, they're great. They're great. But
I'm trying to get clues. That's what I'm very cerebral of, like, what makes this, because he does something so unique. I saw your gig. I saw your content on Instagram. And again, I was looking at it. I was like, this guy just fascinates me. We had an appointment, a session. We were supposed to record his episode earlier, but he's like, because I just saw him at, some content, when I find people, was just doing a stand-up. He's like, and I can't talk or rap. I'm like, I thought maybe this is a figure of speech. And I went back, and again, I was like, oh my God, this is a whole new layer of, and then I went into, like, really understood, this is pay dirt. This guy has got many layers. So I want to go back. We always start from the beginning. Where are you originally from? How did you get, what happened first? Was it music? Was it stand-up comedy? Was it, tell us a little about your origin story, and then we'll just take it from there.
Sure. Well, I'm from Manchester in the United Kingdom. And if you say that in the UK, people would get very aggro and just start shouting abuse. So I say it over here, like, very early in my career on stage, I mentioned I was from Manchester. This is where I learned you don't do that. I mentioned I was from Manchester, and a guy in the crowd was like, full of wankers. And I'm like, all right, mate. But I'm pretty quick. So I was like, where are you from? And he goes, Manchester. So he proved his point. So from there in the Northwest, lived there for 19 years till I moved down south, where I kind of lost a bit of my Mancunian accent, and started doing theatre when I was a kid, like 7 or 8 years old, and music when I was about 12, maybe a little bit younger. I probably got my first guitar, but 11 years old was when I started rapping, and I am 34 now, so 23 years of rapping. About the same time of playing guitar, although I am terrible at guitar. For someone who has a dozen guitars in this room, they're not all hanging up, they're all stored, because I don't like my wife to know how many guitars I have. Every time I get a new one, I'm like, yeah, I sold one. I never sell one.
I know the disease. Yes.
Yeah. I also know that she never listens to any podcast that I'm on, so I'm safe to say that. I'm also sleeping with her sister, but she'll never. Hopefully her sister doesn't listen to this podcast either. Started comedy when I was 19 at university, and kind of started combining comedy and rap when I was 21, 22. And that came about from doing some kids comedy shows. And kids comedy is really hard. It's really hard to make them laugh because you can't be rude. You can be rude, but you can't be offensive. And they don't really like anything. The only thing they care about is, I don't know, they think they're funny. They don't think you're funny. So I started doing rap in my comedy shows, and they thought that at least they laughed at me. So then I found out that I liked doing it on stage for a comedy audience. I liked that it worked. Turned it into an act that has taken me to America, where I am now. From humble rapping beginnings to literally on stage with Cirque du Soleil in Las Vegas in front of 2,500 people a night. It's probably the kind of most steep part of the journey. Yeah.
I love this. I just, when you started doing rap, well, first of all, let's talk about when you're 19 years old. That's when I started doing stand up, and I just off and on, it's been like a off and on lifestyle for me since. I'm more of an entrepreneur. But when you started doing, stand up when you were 19, what did you talk about? What was that like? And then when you started doing rap, that did everything change when you started doing the rap and then the crowd work, or what was that like? What that whole journey?
Yeah. So for anyone listening rather than watching, I'm a very kind of plain looking white Englishman. There's very little I can talk about in terms of the struggle. I've never written a rap album that wasn't comedy. People are always like, oh, why don't you do a serious rap album? You'd blow people away. I'm like, and what am I talking about? Yeah, it was really hard when I went to Oxford University.
Did you go to Oxford?
I did, yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
My subtle way of putting that into every conversation.
I want to get into that too, but yeah, go on.
There's not many Oxford educated rappers. The stand-up early on was one-liners, so just really kind of dumb jokes that I'd say in a really deadpan. So one thing that's quite fun is I had videos go viral early on, like front page of Reddit when I was 19. And those videos were just deadpan one-liners, and it would be jokes like, I'm friends with 25 letters of the alphabet. I don't know why. So real kind of,
right.
Trying to be Stephen Wright or Mitch Hedberg, or for the British people, Jimmy Carr or Tim Vine. And that changed so much within the next 3 or 4 years when I started doing freestyle rap on stage. So freestyle rap is improvised rap. It's made up. And that very quickly took me from being this 10-minute spot in the middle of the show to opening shows for 20 minutes and then headlining shows, because you bring in some music to the show, it changes the energy. You bring in freestyle rap from a guy that you don't expect it from, and it's quite hard to not finish the show with that. So people will see videos of me and be like, wow, I think I've seen you somewhere before. And then they'll realize I was the one-liner guy. They're like, nah, no, that's not the same person. I'm like, no, I just, we contain multitudes. And well, there's one aspect of me that loves freestyle rap, and there's one aspect of me that loves jokes. And as I've got better at stand-up, I've been able to mix that together into a kind of cohesive persona. Whereas at the start, it was very much one or the other.
Let's go back to Oxford. What'd you study there?
Studied archaeology and anthropology with an aim to be a lawyer, because back then it wasn't like you took the law degree. You were meant to do a different degree and then switch to a law degree to show that you were able to master different disciplines. But it was my first year at Oxford, I started doing improv, which then turned me on to stand-up. And then my agent, the guy who found me in the UK, he said, don't be a lawyer. There's so many lawyers. Like, there's no one that can do what you can do. You should do this. You'll be a comedian. I guarantee you'll be a professional comedian. And I was like, all right, that sounds good. So followed his words and became a full-time comedian. And I think comedy's gain is also law's gain, because no one wants me in court. Like, Your Honor, my client is guilty. Drop a beat. Why would I say my client is guilty? The defendant's guilty. Drop a beat.
I'm in love with your thumbprint. This is fascinating to me. First of all, I think that most comedians have to be inherently smart. I just really do. And I think that your education actually helps, and also you're a musician. So when it comes time to create premise, shattered assumption, a connector between two different things that have the same connector, once you start to see the matrix behind that, your brain just you were probably a great one-liner writer. I bet you were.
I was good. And I found that the one-liners that I would write would happen when I was working on really academic stuff. So I'd be, Oxford, you have to write 2.5 essays a week, which is the highest workload of anywhere. It's so intense. Terms are only 8 weeks long at Oxford. You are at Oxford for less time than you're not at Oxford in terms of 24 weeks a year you're at Oxford.
Yeah.
So you've got 28 where you're not. And so you're writing it and your brain is really focusing on these really difficult essays. And so then as soon as it would like let off steam, it would just have, for some reason, it would have just processed jokes and they would have just popped out from phrases that I'd read or written and would be inspired. They'd just come out and they were really like intellectually focused one-liners. Now that doesn't mean that the crowd loved them. My third gig, I was silenced off stage, and that's not booed off stage. That's silenced off stage. They didn't even want to boo me. That was that bad.
Yeah. But they must have been clever at the same time. It might have been silence, but you have to respect somebody that has clever premises. And
I think you're giving too much credit to British audiences.
Okay.
I think in England, I would never mention that I went to Oxford because people would be like, "Oh, you think you're really special, do you?"
Yeah, I heard that.
The audience will applaud. The audience will be like, "Oh my God, that is a man who really has achieved. Well done. You can do anything." Hard. Whereas in England, we know that's not the case. It was the same as in America. It's all about class. Like I went to Oxford University because my school taught me how to pass the interview. They taught me how to succeed. Now, I went to a terrible school until I was 10 years old. No one at that school had ever, would never have heard of Oxford. They didn't go to the high school I went to. The high school I went to was like the best in the north of England. The only reason I went there was because I had one teacher who was just like, "Hey, Chris is really smart. We should really put work in on him." And that, I was fortunate and privileged to get that. My dad was really smart growing up, but he got expelled from 3 different schools because they thought he was a lost cause. He was just smarter than the other kids. And so he'd finish his work and then mess around. But he didn't have a teacher who took that time to go, "No, this guy's actually quite smart." So, that's the difference. He ended up working in a gas station from the age of 15. But I'm lucky that I ended up going off to Oxford.
I'd love to know about when you first started doing stand-up, your writing process and how that's evolved.
So it really was those first few years. I wouldn't ever sit down and actively write. I would only do that for sketches. I used to write comedy sketches as well. I had a little sketch group at Oxford that was fun. And I'd do stand-up in those sketch shows. And I'd noticed that was the bit I liked the most. But my jokes would just kind of arrive fully formed. They would just spit out of my head as this byproduct of writing essays. And when I left Oxford and stopped writing essays, I stopped writing jokes in that way. And I started writing more story-based jokes where something would happen and I'd consciously go, "Oh, that was funny. How could it be funnier?" And I'd make up an extra aspect to it or make up an ending that didn't happen in the real story. And then as I started bringing in the freestyle rap, I started to find ways of knitting that together. So you'd start deliberately trying to write routines about hip hop or routines about being a white guy who raps to kind of give cohesion to that, just mix of genres.
What I find really fascinating is that when you're on stage, let's look at that. Let's say the Comedy Cellar video. There's several. The tunnels. Somebody says the Jewish tunnels. First of all, in real time, all right, you're already like a Rolodex. That's how old I am. Going through your head, on associations, and then you're thinking rhyming. Then you're thinking.
So you're not. That's what people assume. People think, yeah. And I don't mind it, right? But people think that as soon as I get a suggestion or as soon as I ask someone, what their job is and they start saying it, I'm then compiling this list of things to talk about or rhymes to say. And that's how you freestyle for the first year or two. But then you reach a level where it just all comes naturally. It comes organically. I'm not saying that happens for everyone. I think, you have to have a certain type of brain in the first place to be able to freestyle. But I only start thinking about what the rap is going to be about when the beat starts.
Wow.
Because to me, it's like pure meditation. There's nothing conscious about it. So when I finish a rap, people might go, "Hey, I loved that bit where you said this." I'm like, "Oh, I said that? Oh, that's pretty cool." it's very rare that in a rap I am conscious of what I'm about to say. And it's usually only when I say something really dumb. Like the last time it happened was a couple of weeks ago, where a guy in the audience, I was talking to him. I was like, "What do you do?" And he goes, "Oh, in the daytime, I work in the city. I'm in finance." I was like, "Okay, what do you do at nighttime?" He goes, "Oh, I plan queer nightlife." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then in the rap, for some reason, I'm just rapping, and it comes out like my guy here works in the daytime. But after 6, it's a gay time. I was like, my brain just goes, wait, Chris, did you just rhyme daytime and gay time? You're an idiot. And I was just like, it turned me online going like, oh, you're a doofus, Chris. That was so silly. I mean, it was.
I'm a novice because I think that's funny. I don't know.
Oh, no. It was funny as hell. It was the audience's favorite bit, but it was the audience's favorite bit because you could see them go, wait, did he just realize he said that? And I was just like, oh, that was dumb. Like, come on, rhyming that. That's, rap is the best bits of rap often is in the dumb moments. Like, there's a Kanye song from a long time ago. The song's called 2 Words, but the refrain, it's like, he just goes 2 words and then they say 2 words. But there's a line in it where it goes 2 words, fuck you, pay me. And you're like, that's 4 words, mate. It's just, and it sticks out because you go, what a dumb thing to say.
I just think that so you're not you have unconscious competence when it comes to doing these raps.
But we all have it, right? Anyone who drives is unconsciously competent at that, and that's how I compare it. I compare it in like ways. I'm saying it's not chess, it's not thinking 5 moves ahead, it's not. It is tennis, right? You can watch your opponent, but you can only play the shot that comes. If you predict their shot, then you're getting lost, right? If you think too far ahead in freestyle, you stumble. And driving a car, when you learn how to drive the first time, doesn't it feel impossible? Especially if you're doing stick shift. You're like, how can I absorb all this information and synthesize it? With freestyle, it's that. And then as soon as you can do it, you're like, oh, this is the easiest thing in the world. We get to the end of the rap. I'm like, wait, did I even do that? Same way you drive the same route every day. You get there, you've forgotten that you actually did the drive, and hopefully there's not, a dog stuck on your fender.
What are some of the bullet points that you have to go through in the beginning stages to kind of do it?
To learn how to freestyle?
Yeah. No, sex. Yeah. Freestyle.
Yeah, well, I can't help with that.
I'm married, so that sucks.
The first one,
it's fun to marriage.
I think the first thing with freestyling for me, like when I teach it, because I do teach workshops occasionally, if people pay me enough, because I hate teaching it, because it's just having to sit with people who can't do it and just being like, yeah, that's really good.
I could see how that would be frustrating because it's almost become like just a part of your DNA. It's part of you. It seems like it's just a party. It's just like talking, as you say, driving.
Yeah, and bad freestyle rap is one of the worst things ever, which is why it's so powerful when you do it well. When I say I'm going to do it, people automatically assume it's going to be rubbish.
Yeah.
So the way I learned it is not the way I can teach it, because I learned it from a place of naivety. I was listening to Outkast's album, Stankonia, or Stankonia, if you want to pronounce it the way it's meant to be, really. And I listened to that and I was like, wow, these guys are amazing. I can't believe they're making this all up. Because I didn't know that rap music was written. Because it just wasn't, my dad didn't listen to rap. So I had no one to ask about this. All my friends at my fancy school didn't like rap. And the guy who would get me these rap albums, he'd download them off LimeWire or Kazaa and sell me them for like $2 a CD. He's not going to talk to me because he's like, I don't like what this is a transactional relationship. I could be like, hey, I really like that new album. And he'd be like, okay, whatever. Like, your dealer doesn't want to be friends with you. And if they do, then they're a bad dealer. They're just sponging off you. I listen to it and I go, wow, how can they make all this up? That seems so smart. We're taught at school to be smart. There is nothing more smart than the lyrics these guys are coming up with. So I start rapping for the next 6 years without any knowledge of rap, without anyone to talk to, without any community, right? I once went to a rap kind of cipher in Manchester, and it was some of the worst stuff I've ever seen. It was like really bad. People sucked. And I'm like, wow, these guys suck. I guess they just need to try harder. I didn't realize that freestyle rap is really hard. Like if you can wiggle your ears now, it's because you did it when you were a baby subconsciously. Otherwise, your muscles don't develop. And I think that for some reason, sorry, my cat is being a dickhead. Come here.
Oh, that's a huge cat.
Yeah, he's massive.
What was that? A Persian? What do they call it?
This is a ragamuffin, but they are part Persian. Yeah,
it's like a little cougar. Yeah,
yeah. No, he's humongous. He's just a big boy. But he was coming in here to make trouble because the soundproof booth behind me is carpeted. Yeah. He just climbs up it and gets stuck on the top because he's an idiot. So I can't teach people to not understand what rap is and therefore develop an ability to freestyle it. What I have to do is just be like, look, the way to do this is to listen to a lot of rap to develop natural rhythm, to love rap, to understand how it works. And then in the shower for 15 minutes every day, just rap about something and just keep going and push past the bit where you stop. Just keep going. Even if you can't rhyme, just keep going. And eventually you break through. And no one wants to do that. No one wants to, they just want the magic answer, which is, they want to be like, oh, just do this and you'll be able to do it. And that's not how it works. But also,
your cat has, by the way, you just held up a cat your cat has the same eyes as you. You know what though, that makes sense that makes perfect sense though. That metaphor that what you're talking about there could be applied to business, anything. You know what, you just really need to put in the reps and then put in your, and day to day chip away, and eventually your subconscious will be present, your conscious will be present, and it becomes unconscious competence, like we talked about.
It has to be fun. Like I was doing it because it was fun. I did it for 6 years, so I got not my 10,000 hours, but I got a lot of hours in before it was ever a job. And it was only when I started doing improv that we were doing these improv rap games. And it was like, oh, wait, I can use this for something. So by then I'd had 7 years of rapping. And I just thought it was fun. And I've always kind of admired this kind of accidental, I kind of created this niche, or niche, as we would say over here, this niche that only I could inhabit, which is a stand-up comedian that freestyle raps. Because there are other freestyle rappers, but there's no one I know who's equally adept at stand-up comedy at a kind of material level. Like I can do one-man shows which have no rap in them. It could be like a very funny one-man hour that people like. And people can watch my stand-up and go, oh, that's great. And then, wait, he does raps as well? Now, I'm aware most people know me as a freestyle rapper. Then they come to the show and they go, wow, that was way more stand-up than I thought. You're really funny.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. If it was just an hour of freestyle rap, oh my God, I would ask for a refund. That'd be the worst thing ever.
When did you first do, the freestyle rap doing stand-up? Where was it? When was it?
At the Edinburgh Festival, probably in 2012 or 2012 maybe, doing a kids comedy show. And I was rapping about, I'd get them to get their little toys. I'd be like, hey, who's got some toys? And then they'd hold up like a little toy. There'd always be a dinosaur. So I'd do a Jurassic 5 joke and the dads would laugh. And then I'd get the dinosaur and I'd make the dinosaur do a rap. And the dinosaur would be like, yo, like, what's your name, kid? What do you do? Like, what are your hobbies? And then the dinosaur would do a rap about it. And the kids would think it was silly, but the parents were like, oh. And there was the comedian who was on the show with me was dating a critic. And she, I don't think liked my stand-up, but she said to him, and he then said to me, that I should do the rap in my normal stand-up set. And then that would like do well for me. And it did.
Oh, man. And now everybody wants to do crowd work. Everybody's doing crowd work now. Everybody's like, it's like Matt Rife and that all this stuff is like going on right now. And your own unique twist is so topical. Just what's happened in the past, like year and a half, what's going on with stand up. And then I I just think it's so unique. I mean, have you found in the past year and a half, you're really hitting like even bigger strides with what you do, or has it just been like a constant climb? But it seems like just so relevant right now.
I think if I mean, I guess the fact that crowd work is so expected now, when I do it, people like in the past, people were like, oh, why is he asking us for suggestions? Whereas now it's been more like, oh yeah, he's going into the crowd. That's what they do. And sometimes, I don't tell them that I'm a rapper. I'll just do some stand up and then I'll start doing crowd work. Like, hey, where are you from? And then turn it into a rap. And that's the kind of twist. And I like that. But I mean, I moved to New York a year and a half ago after a long time in LA. I think being in New York has been really good for me because the Comedy Cellar is such a good comedy club. Not to say I didn't have good clubs back in LA, but I feel New York is much more attuned to the kind of Britishness of my comedy. People don't tend to be absolutely smashed off their face when they come to the show, just stoned, just, like there's nothing more interesting to them than their own thoughts in some of those gigs in LA.
What you do is perfect for the Comedy Cellar. I mean, that whole vibe, the Comedy Cellar, and that.
Well, we got a band on stage as well in a lot of the rooms, so I can rap along with a live band, and that's great. That's another aspect that I love. It's been a good couple of years since I moved here. I mean, I moved here, got seen by Colbert, so I got on the Late Show. I got seen here, which then got me on the Cirque du Soleil show, and then I'm just here now, just keeping working, writing a new show that is like a musical comedy show. So that's going on tour.
Yeah, let's talk about everything. Tell us everything that's going on with you right now.
So writing this new show called Childish, which is a musical comedy about childhood dreams and is specifically inspired by me kind of realizing that all I wanted to be growing up was a rock star, a comedian, and a rapper. And I come on stage in that show with a full band and a guitar, and I'm like, guys, I made it. I made my childhood dream. But also looking at my dad and how he supported me, how he, every time I was like, oh, but should I do this? Should I play music? Should I do comedy? He was like, yeah, go for it. And it would be so easy for him to be like, no, that's a stupid idea. So that show's going on tour to Australia, taking that to the Adelaide Fringe, then going to the Orlando Fringe in May, and then it'll be at the Edinburgh Fringe in August. Fringe festivals are just, hundreds of shows on at the same time. And the aim with that is to get it kind of mounted in New York as a regular off-Broadway show. Aside from that, just doing loads of shows at the Cellar. So tonight, going to the Cellar, 4 shows. Tomorrow, 5 shows. That's just what I do. And then, touring around the country wherever I can go. I'm trying to, just always trying to go to new places and have fun times and meet fans and make new fans. It's lovely. I mean, all I ever wanted to do as soon as I started doing comedy was like be a full-time comedian. And the fact that I get to do that is just one of the best things.
I think you have they say the band loop of the audience is the most important thing when you do stand up, the rapport with the audience, and the rapport that the essence of what you do, the relationship that you get with the audience is so unique and special. I mean, one of my favorite comedians, there's a different poster up behind me. It's usually got Rickles behind me, is Rickles. And it's just like, I've seen the way, the reaction, the audience, I was like, oh my God, this guy is having a great time. I mean, the Comedy Cellar sessions must be amazing. Not they say you probably don't have bad nights. Everybody's got bad nights, but really, and I know you work a lot, and sometimes you're like, one of those nights, sometimes you feel like more enthused to go out than others.
Yeah.
But you really must feel like I've really made my own little lane here and it's so special and fun. Do you still feel like that?
Yeah. I mean, I love that most people, when they see what I do, it's the first time they've ever seen anyone do anything like that. I like that I'm good at it. It would be so easy for it to be just a gimmick. Like, oh, he's a white guy who freestyles. Oh, it's good because we don't expect it. Right. I genuinely think what I do is very good. I think it's very funny. I enjoy it. And there's the whole Amy Poehler thing about just have fun on stage, and then the audience will have fun because they see you having fun, right? And freestyle rap is just so much fun for me to do.
It is.
Again, not to watch. Not I've got friends who freestyle, and I'm like, just so you know, I will never watch you.
I mean, another great freestyler is that's all he does is Harry Mack.
Yeah, Harry's great.
And he's look at like the traction he gets in social media. It's incredible. I'm just curious about long-term play, you know, as we come to a close here. You know, what's your when you think about, do you think long-term? You think 5, 10, 15 years? I always like to ask everybody that because I find it interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Stalin famously had 5-year plans and they worked out great for him. With this musical comedy show, the plan is to kind of just keep, every year I've written a new show. And the benefit of that is you turn over new material every year. The drawback of that is you only have a year to put in that work. With this musical comedy show, I've worked on it for a year already. It's got another 6 months of full development. And then I'm going to tour it for 2 years minimum and kind of enter this new 3-year cycle, really, of shows and making the shows bigger, making the shows more loved, put a lot more work in. And I think you can do that with songs. Essentially, each show is an album. You know, you write in 40 songs to get 10 songs that justify playing them hundreds of times in the next 3 years. Obviously, there's freestyle in the show as well, but quite carefully knitted in so that it fits the narrative and it kind of has this impact. The plan is to do that and then do another one and do another one. With an eye to just, you know, ultimately aiming for somewhere like Broadway or somewhere just like, you know, touring art centers, doing these big festivals. You know, I'm already very lucky to make a living from stand-up. So I always keep that as that's the best thing. Like I'm on stage for a living and that's so cool. So all I want to do is just make better work each year. And that the nature of that work may change. Like tonight at the Cellar, I'm on with John Joseph, who's a really good comedian. He's older. We've discussed this. He used to do a lot more improv in his set, but now he's like 60. And so he does stand up and then he closes his set with an improvised song. He whips out his guitar and whatever he's done in the crowd work, he turns into a song. Huh. And it might be the case that, you know, I mean, Eminem is over 50 and people love watching him rap, but I'm not so naive to say that people are going to want to see a 50-year-old freestyle rapper. But there's nothing to say they don't want to see a 50-year-old improvising a song. It's still exactly the same skill. And it requires different focuses. Like with my freestyling, I don't tend to throw hooks in. You know, I'm hit the punchline, move on. With an improvised song, you have to come up with something that's musically catchy as well as like inventive and funny. So coming up with improvised hooks, improvised choruses is actually something that you constantly want to work at. I just want to keep creating stuff I enjoy because then, you know, I've only ever done that. I've never tried to follow a trend in comedy apart from the start, right, when we're just emulating our heroes. But no one was doing what I did at the Cellar before I did it. And so I just keep following whatever makes me laugh and whatever I think is fun, and then trust that there are enough people who will come along for that ride.
I just think there's so much value in what you do. It is so entertaining. It's so fucking awesome just to listen to it and experience it. I don't want to be gratuitous or take advantage of it or anything, but you mentioned rapping, and, you know, so let's, you know, the last thing we'll do before we plug, you know, and do, I mean, you might as well, you'd be silly not to, I don't want to be exploitive, but let's just tell everybody what we're talking about so I can share this with everybody, because I love it. I think it's great. I think you're great. And I just think this just tickles me. It's like watching magic to me.
Well, that's nice. Well, let me try. We should go into the booth actually for this.
Yeah, go anywhere you want to go.
Should have thought about it.
You know, I got to tell you guys, as he's setting this up, I've done stand-up off and on and been a fan since 1986, since I was 19 years old. And I don't think I've seen anybody like Chris Turner and do what he does. I think it's so unique. I think you're going to like this too. He's just attaching punchline. I mean, there are punchlines attached to a freestyle. It's great. It's chocolate with a peanut butter. I can't hate. It's Reese's. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, it'll take a minute. But
he's in a booth right now. It's really cool. He's in Brooklyn, but in his apartment, he's got this sound booth in here. It's black. It's all black. It's like looks like a bomb shelter, and it's got nice mic, whole setup in there, and you have purple light ceiling and all that. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, they glow as well.
Yeah, a little spinning light there. We're recording kind of thing going on. This is a high end booth he's got there.
Oh, this is stolen from the old Disney ABC studios.
Wow.
On the west side of Manhattan. When they were demolishing it, someone posted on Craigslist, "Hey, come by and pick up this booth." So I showed up with a van full of Mexicans. They loaded it in.
Score.
Okay, let's get this.
He's getting ready to do this whole thing here. This is a master at work right here.
True. Oh yeah, look at this. Right.
Sounds beautiful.
Lovely. Okay, right. Well, how do you want to do it? We'll rap about whatever, but you could just throw words at me. You could give me some words up top. You could just whatever. I don't mind.
We could talk. We could do what we talked about. We can rap about. Let's. Do you need words, or do you want to do what we already talked about? What we discussed in our interview?
No, give me some words. No, come on. No, no one cares about that. You try and catch me out. Give me some random stuff and
okay.
We'll
I'm starting a new company called Bolator.
We'll start with there. We'll start that, and you can throw in some more words as we go.
Okay, I'll give you a couple more. Let me give you a couple more.
Go on, put them in.
Okay, so there's that. Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Manchester.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Ross.
Jeff Ross, the Roast Master General.
Yes.
We're starting off with one of fur. What you never heard? Oh, wait, mate. I love that. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna start, and then I can't even talk. Right. Let's do this again, and I'll have to switch it up. I'll have to switch. I was about to rap about Bolator. I was about to do a sick rhyme. Look, it can't always be good. This is how you know it's real. Take two. You know we best be off. I'm gonna roast you like I'm Jeffrey Ross, the guy I like, not a chump. Ever so high with his skills IQ when he's bumping mics. You never dwell. Works with David Tell. Big JR, yeah, you know it goes well. Got the shaved head. But back in the day, he had the hair. Didn't look like a glazed little cake. Okay. I ain't roasting on my own, coming from the northwest of England, Manchester, my home. You're invited to guess City or United, the shitty team that's united. I try it. They the Reds, I was there from the start. 99 treble season, played a part. I was there with the trophy, top of the bus. Manchester, you never mess with us. We blast out like a blunderbuss. If you're making fun of us, guys shouting wanker, yeah, you know it is a cuss. That means you're a masturbator. The only thing I can rhyme with is belater. I know it's not Bolator. I had to switch the vowels around. Belatedly, earlier you might have found I was trying to rhyme that before, but now of course Bolator's where we're fitting in is better than yours. What does it mean? I don't know, no. I see you on the screen, I can see the logo. It's got the BOL and then a weird shape looking like a Star Wars character. Make no mistake, Tor means mountain in the Welsh language. Welsh rarebit, a tasty sandwich. And then Bolo, you can sprint it right around, orbiting like the sun I found. Now we got the one more thing that we can try to do. We did the Manchester Jeff Ross, but also you. The second one, I beckon you. Come on, Mike, could you remind me? What was the second suggestion in the time we've got left? He doesn't even know. You can shout it out now in the flow, bro. I'll leave a gap.
Too entertained.
Of course. Oh, yes. Okay. It didn't stick in his brain because Michael Stein's too entertained. He was trying to get it back, trying to recall it again, but he can't. It both fell into the abyss. Sadly, we finished this with the chef's kiss. There we go. Ha.
Oh, my God. That's off the dome.
Was it? What even was that second thing? We've no idea.
I forgot because I was so entertained. That's off the dome. I love it. Oh, Chris Turner. You know, I hope you feel the love and how much appreciation. I mean, you must get this so much. And I'm a guy that's been around, and I just love what you do. I mean, isn't it? Do you feel when you do? I just want to know the psyche of you. I'm a cerebral guy. When you do stand up, do you notice that people are so amazed, like you're a magician, but you're doing rap and you're doing stand up, and then afterwards, I know the people that come to see you at the Comedy Cellar. And in New York can be so cynical. But they're looking at you going, "Hey man, I really love what you did. That was amazing."
Yeah, people come up and they're like, "Hey, that was great," in like a genuine way, not just like a "we've walked past you, so we have to be polite" way. And I think Americans tend to just say what they think. The most common thing, people come up, they're like, "Dude, you crushed it, you murdered, you destroyed," and I'm like, "I'm British. You can just say I colonized."
Oh man. And you know what? You knew what Tor means from a high peak, but in Welsh it means mountain. That is really impressive. And that's where, ladies and gentlemen, you should study. You should.
I should clarify just for the Welshies listening. I know that the actual word for mountain in Welsh is Bryn. So don't get on at me, but
how did you know Tor means a high peak?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. But
how did you know that? It's uncommon that people know that.
What? My cat is called Colonel Widdershins. That's a word that means counterclockwise. How do you know words? I'm English. We invented the language.
That's true. Well, actually, it was Germanic language. The Vandals and the Angles.
Let's not talk about them.
Okay, absolutely. You know what? This is something you could double check. This is a rare, but since you're in New York, you'll like this. So I started podcasting because there's a movie called Broadway Danny Rose with Woody Allen, where these old comedians are sitting in Carnegie Deli and they're talking about this talent manager named Danny Rose, Woody Allen. And, to me, podcasting is a great time where I can get to sit at people. You can't sit at Carnegie Deli anymore at 2:00 in the morning. But what you can do is you could talk to a person like yourself, and you would be one of those people that I would love to be at that table. I have a group of people that I'd love to sit at that table with a bunch of people. And I would choose you to be one of those people at the table in Carnegie Deli, 2:00 in the morning. Just you're the everlasting gobstopper of entertainment for me. I appreciate you doing this.
That's a great quote. The everlasting gobstopper of entertainment.
You are.
I'm going to put that. I'm going to put that on the website. That's brilliant.
I'm a bleeding American, and I tell you what I think and feel. That's it. And I'm Jewish, so you really know I'm getting. I tell you exactly everything I think and feel. Absolutely pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing everything. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Tell everybody how they can find out more about you one more time.
Yeah, so you can find me online at britishcomedian.com, and you can put in your email and location there. So if I gig near you, you get an update. Instagram, Chris Turner Comedy, and all my videos are on YouTube. Just search Chris Turner Freestyle Rapper, and I'll come up and come see a show live. And because the number of people who think this is prepared, the number of people who are like, "Yeah, he's not really rapping," I'm like, come to a show and shout out some rubbish, and I'll show you it's not prepared.
And I guarantee you will be satisfied. You got to see. You just go to his Instagram, go to YouTube, and look at the work. It speaks for itself. It's absolutely amazing. Chris Turner, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks for joining us. Gear up for your next adventure and head over to bolotour.com to check out the amazing Bolo Pack and their other innovative outdoor gear. Catch you next time.